everybody, Mike Pfeiffer again with Pfeiffer Hobby Supply, and I'm going to do update 39 on the ACT3, and it's going to be relatively short today because I don't have, I always say that, but it never works out, right? I don't have a whole lot to talk about because I haven't done a whole lot, but I want you to see where everything's going at the moment. So here we go. Okay everybody, today we're going to start over here. And it's pretty much how you remember it, with the exception of I took some alcohol and water and cleaned off all my paint mess that I had on the backdrop back there from slopping paint on it when I was doing the painting. So I've got that all cleaned up, and as you notice, maybe you can see in the video, I have some buzzards flying around up here. Apparently something's dead over there. I also have gotten out all my yuccas, and I've started planting yuccas, one there and a couple on the top of the hill, and we will swing around and look at the yuccas that I have planted, as well as a lot of my tools and so forth. But you can see that I put in some yuccas and some ocotillos. Ocotillos, for those of you who don't know, are these tall, thin plants right here. They grow all over the place out here in the Southwest. And I think as I pan around, you can kind of see the yuccas back there in the background. Let me pan back before I get into those big spots of white plaster there. Another thing that I have done is ballasted track. I ballasted all the track back there in the back. I think you can see a portion of it, and the track in the foreground right here. And all the way around, and we'll come back to this, all the way around to there. So all that track is now ballasted. I'm happy with the way it's running. I'm happy with the ballast itself. And I've got at least that part of it out of the way. As you can see, if I back up here very slightly, I still have a bunch of yuccas and stuff to put back here, and then I'll have some in the foreground here as well. But I didn't want to put any yuccas back here because, as you can see, I've added two little structures here. Let me get to those real quick. Okay, while I don't have the ground blended in and no ground cover or anything, as you can obviously see, I do have one of my ghost town buildings up there, the one with the collapsed roof. And then I have the mine shaft that used to be near the old roadside tourist trap. I don't know if I'm going to use the tourist trap out here, but what I can tell you is that I'm using at least this part of it. And I had to break a bunch of... To get this mine in there, I had to break off a bunch of the rock structure around behind it, which I had rescued from the other layout. And now I have blended plaster around that. Now I've got to color the terrain around there and then add ground cover, obviously. And then I'll put in yuccas and plants and maybe even a tree or two there. I'm not really sure. You know, I kind of freelance it, so I don't exactly know how that'll go. Let me back up and show you one more thing that I'm sure you've already spied, but we'll talk about it real quickly. Okay, before I get a bunch of questions asked about it, I was trying the used car lot here. I think the structure may be way too large. If I can scale it down in some manner, I might consider using it there. What I had considered is possibly taking out the ramp here and then running it all the way down to the edge of the taco stand. Maybe even moving it down to the other end. I don't know. I haven't done a lot of placement of that to see where it would fit well. But it may go in there. I'm not real sure. I seem to have a lot of spots right along that area where they're not, you know, it would be something that's not going to be served by rail. So I may consider that. Now let's move on to something else that you're already looking at here. Okay, what I'm talking about here is you can see that I've curved or bent that bridge there slightly. It's nothing more than just a standard Rick's bridge. I haven't put any plaster up against the retaining wall here. I haven't put any plaster down to the bridge or anything yet, which I was going to do when I did that over there, but I ran out of plaster. And I'll show you I used some plaster elsewhere in here. We'll get to that in a minute. But what you can see is that I've blended in the road base all the way up, for the most part, at least to where it crosses the tracks. What I will do next is make my usual template and cut the road out of the tar paper or the roofing felt, whichever you prefer. That bridge is permanently in place there. It has an abutment on the right-hand side, no abutment on the other end. It would sit right on a concrete abutment that was at ground level. Obviously, it needs touching up and ground cover and weathering. But and you can see that I have a lot of ballast in my river back there that I haven't cleaned up yet. But now let's move out here to the front of the layout and see what else I've done. Okay, as you remember, I was kind of planning or thinking about putting this bridge in, and I had it sitting in place over there. But I think that I'm going to bypass that idea. Let me put the bridge down here. I'm going to bypass that idea, and I found out that this bridge that I had, and if you remember, this bridge was down in the city when I had the city on the other end of the layout, and it used to go out to the window that faced outside. It was outside the garage here, or outside the train room here, into the garage. So I found out that it fit right there. I checked all the clearances with a long car, and it does fit. You can see that I've added plaster all around both sides of it here. There's plaster added down in along the track. I've made a kind of a mess out of the track, which I've got to fix, clean up and stuff. Along the edge of this. Now, I've got to add plaster beyond this bridge to level it out to get to the right-hand side of the scrapyard. One other thing, if I can pick up the whole tripod here, two other things actually. Let me see if I can move around with the tripod and not mess you guys up too much. Well, that was not very graceful. But if I zoom in, you can see what I mean. I've got to level that up. I've got to level that up so I can come off the bridge there level and flat with the edge of the scrapyard. Another thing I did, as long as I have this zoomed in, I cut my own little piece of 18-inch radius there and just put in a little section of 18 just to bring the junkyard towards us slightly, and so that I had enough room to well, I sounded like Bugs Bunny there or something, didn't I? But anyway, so I can get a road on the outside, or have more room for the road on the outside of the junkyard over there. So it'll come down here, and then I'm also, I think I had mentioned it in the previous videos, that I'm going to add another half of the junkyard on this side, and I'll probably put a fence around the end of the track back there, and then maybe put an electrified, or not electrified, a working gate that I can work with a Switchmaster switch machine in there that'll open and close when I go into the junkyard. Let me back out here if I can figure out which way is back. Boy, this video is going to seem very unprofessional, but I guess that's the way it goes. Another problem I ran into, and that you saw something I did, as I had talked about, I built this up around the outside edge here as sort of a mini view block when you're standing out there on the other side. When I went ahead and plastered it, I found out it was too close and the trains were hitting it. So I've had to make a modification to that and haven't colored that back in yet. So, as you can see, I have been doing something. It doesn't appear that I'm accomplishing very much, but when I get all that stuff tied in, it'll all make sense. By the way, most of this stuff sitting here is all bad order stuff, and you can see that I have bad order forms filled out for these items. I've got to make repairs to all of that stuff. The cleaning car right here I dropped on the floor and it came all apart. I've got to put it all back together. Aside from that, let me do some thinking if I have something else, and we'll add it on here. Okay, I know this is really not train related, but I got rid of some of my 18th scale die casts, and I'm going to some 1/43rd scale die cast of cars that I already had. A turbine car back there, a Ford GT40, a Mark IV Ford GT40. I have a Chaparral, first Chaparral 2E, and a Chaparral 2D, and I plan on getting the other versions of the Chaparral cars. There is a Dale Earnhardt Jr. car back there, 50th anniversary of NASCAR. A Terry Labonte car, Ironman car. The only reason I kept that car, I was a Terry Labonte fan, and Robin and I went to Phoenix to watch the race when he had his 600th start. That is a Jeff Gordon Chrome Illusion car. There's some cars down below there that don't really mean a lot of anything. They're just ones hanging out on the bottom that I may get rid of. But anyway, as you can see, I guess what I'm getting to in this long story is that I've added these glass shelves back in that used to be on the fascia of the old layout, so that I can put the 1/43rd die casts up there, which frees up room on my shelving here to put my plastic, more of my plastic models on. I do have two 1/18 die cast Ford GT40s up there. They're not real expensive ones, so I don't know if I'm going to have very good luck selling them or getting rid of them, and I don't think I have the boxes. It doesn't matter to me, but I need to get them out of here. I've got some models up there on top that you guys have all seen before, I believe. But I can consolidate my models to these shelves down here, and then I will be getting rid of some more of this stuff down here, but I don't know what yet. If I turn the camera back around here, what I'd like to tell you is I'm probably going somewhere where these boxes are sitting, just to the right of this cabinet here, or this shelving unit here. I'm going to put in a 110 plug, simply because, and it's going to have USB charging ports in it, simply because I always have the my iPad out here, and I usually have my phone out here. So I need some place to plug those in to charge. So we're going to try that as well. Anyway, that's about it. Okay guys, one more thing I wanted to share with you is, I think I told you last time I was going to move this box out, which I have done, and now I can get a hold of the drawers. I used some Irish Spring soap around the edges and on the bottoms of these drawers, as per some suggestions that I got. And you will see now that effortlessly I can pull these drawers in and out. So I sure appreciate everybody reminding me of that that fix for these sticky drawers. All that stuff works good, and I appreciate you guys watching today. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video today. You can see where some things are headed that I had talked to you about before. And there again, hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, thanks for watching.